Tick-tock, but you're not alone. Britain's clock towers aren't just keeping time, they're haunted by ghosts of the past. From phantom bell ringers to shadowy figures in the gears, these iconic landmarks hide terrifying secrets. Would you dare to visit after dark? Stick around as we count down the UK's 10 most haunted clock towers, if you're brave enough. 1. Big Ben, Elizabeth Tower, London. Big Ben is one of the most famous landmarks in London, known all over the world. The big clock tower stands tall next to the Houses of Parliament, and its real name is Elizabeth Tower, though everyone calls it Big Ben. The tower was built a long time ago, in 1859, and it has been keeping time for the city ever since. But besides being a famous clock, Big Ben has another side to it. Many people believe it is haunted. Over the years, workers, guards, and even visitors have reported strange and scary things happening inside the tower, making it one of the most haunted places in the UK. One of the most well-known ghost stories about Big Ben is about a worker who died while the tower was being built. During the construction, a man had a terrible accident and fell from the top of the tower. Some say his ghost never left and still wanders inside. Workers have heard footsteps when no one else is around, and some have felt a sudden cold breeze even when all the windows and doors are closed. These strange experiences make people wonder if the ghost of the fallen worker is still there, watching over the tower. Another creepy story is about the bells of Big Ben. The clock's big bell rings every hour, but sometimes, people say they hear it ring by itself late at night when no one is there to make it happen. Guards who work in the tower have reported seeing a shadowy figure near the bells, as if someone is standing there, but when they look closer, no one is there. One guard even told a story about hearing someone climbing the stairs behind him, but when he turned around, the staircase was empty. Then, suddenly, he felt a strong push from behind, almost making him fall. When he looked again, there was no one there. Inside Big Ben, there is a room called the prison room. A long time ago, politicians who broke the rules were locked in this room as punishment. Some people believe the room is cursed because of its dark history. Those who enter the room sometimes feel a sudden fear or hear whispers in the darkness. A few workers have even claimed to see a ghostly face staring at them from the corner of the room before it disappears. These stories make the prison room one of the scariest parts of the tower. No one knows for sure why Big Ben is haunted, but many believe it is because of the tower's long and sometimes tragic history. Over the years, people have died there, some in accidents, some during wars. Others think the ghosts are spirits who cannot leave the place where they died. Even today, workers and visitors report strange things, like knocking sounds, shadowy figures moving in the halls, or the feeling of being watched. Whether these stories are true or not, they make Big Ben much more than just a clock tower. It is a place full of mystery and ghostly tales. Would you dare to visit Big Ben at night? You might just hear the bells ring on their own or feel an unseen presence walking beside you. The tower may be beautiful during the day, but when the sun goes down, some say its ghosts come out to play. The next time you see Big Ben, remember, it's not just keeping time, it might also be home to spirits from the past. 2 Street Pancras Clock Tower, London. St. Pancras Clock Tower stands tall next to St. Pancras Railway Station in London, watching over the busy trains and travellers. This beautiful red brick tower was built in 1868 as part of the Midland Grand Hotel, which is now called the Street Pancras Renaissance Hotel. While it looks grand during the day, many believe the clock tower hides dark secrets and ghostly visitors after dark. People who have worked here or visited late at night tell strange stories that send chills down your spine. One of the most famous ghosts said to haunt the tower is a woman in Victorian clothing. She has been seen many times standing near the clock face, looking down at the station below. Witnesses say she appears very sad, as if waiting for someone who never came. Some believe she might have been a passenger from long ago who lost her love or missed her train in tragic circumstances. Hotel staff have reported seeing her reflection in windows when no one is there, and cleaners have heard the sound of a woman crying in empty corridors late at night. Another spooky story comes from the tower's basement. Workers maintaining the clock machinery have reported feeling like they're being watched when alone down there. Some have heard heavy breathing right behind them, but when they turn around, no one is there. There are also tales of tools moving by themselves and sudden cold spots that make your breath visible in the air, even in summer. One engineer claimed he saw shadowy figures moving between the giant gears of the clock mechanism, disappearing when he shined his torch on them. The most frightening story involves the tower's staircase. Several people have reported seeing a dark figure climbing the stairs late at night when the tower is supposed to be empty. Security guards checking the area have found no one there, but their equipment sometimes stops working near the staircase for no reason. One guard told how he heard loud footsteps running down towards him, but the staircase remained completely empty. Others have felt invisible hands pushing them when they stand near certain steps, making them almost lose their balance. What makes these stories even creepier is the tower's connection to the old hotel basement, which was once used as temporary storage for dead bodies in the 1800s. When people died at the station or nearby, their bodies were sometimes kept in the basement before being taken away. This dark history might explain why so many ghostly things happen here. Some paranormal investigators believe the unhappy spirits of those dead travelers might still be trapped in the building, especially around the clock tower that would have been the last thing they saw when arriving in London. Today, while thousands of people pass through Street Pancras Station every day, few realize the haunted history of its famous clock tower. Most ghostly activity happens after midnight, when the station becomes quieter. Cleaning crews and security guards still report strange occurrences, from flickering lights to unexplained noises coming from inside the clock mechanism. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Street Pancras Clock Tower holds many mysteries. Next time you're waiting for a train and look up at the time, remember, you might not be the only one watching the clock hands move. The tower's ghosts could be keeping time in their own way, forever stuck between the past and present in this beautiful but haunted London landmark. 3 Leeds Town Hall Clock Tower, Leeds. Leeds Town Hall's clock tower stands proudly over the city centre, its tall stone structure and chiming bells marking time for everyone below. Built in 1858, this grand Victorian building has seen countless important events, weddings, and concerts over the years. But behind its impressive appearance lies something much darker. Many believe the clock tower is home to restless spirits that refuse to leave. Workers, security guards, and even visitors have reported strange experiences that cannot be easily explained, making it one of Leeds' most haunted locations. The most common ghost story involves a former caretaker who loved the building so much he never wanted to leave, even after death. Many people have reported seeing an elderly man in old-fashioned work clothes walking through the corridors near the clock tower, especially late at night when the building is empty. Some say he carries a large ring of keys that jingle as he moves, the sound echoing through the halls before suddenly stopping. Security guards checking the area have found no one there, but the sound of keys rattling continues to be heard to this day. Others claim to have seen his shadowy figure standing by the tower's windows, looking down at the city as if still keeping watch over the town hall he once cared for. Another frightening story comes from the tower's winding staircase that leads up to the clock mechanism. Several workers have reported feeling an invisible presence following them as they climb the narrow steps. Some have felt cold hands touching their shoulders or back, but when they turn around, no one is there. One electrician working late at night told how his tools kept disappearing from where he left them, only to be found later in different places, sometimes in spots he couldn't possibly have put them himself. Others have heard strange whispering voices coming from empty rooms near the top of the tower, voices that stop suddenly when someone enters the room. The clock tower's bells also have their own ghostly tale. While the bells normally ring on schedule, there have been times when they've chimed by themselves in the middle of the night with no one near the controls. One security guard reported hearing the bells start ringing at 3 a.m., even though the system was turned off. When he went to investigate, he saw the bell ropes moving by themselves as if invisible hands were pulling them. Even more frightening, some people claim to have heard a second, ghostly bell ringing out of time with the real ones, creating an eerie echo that shouldn't be possible. Perhaps the most disturbing reports come from the tower's observation area. Visitors during daylight hours sometimes report seeing a pale face staring at them from one of the tower's upper windows, even though that area is closed to the public. Others have taken photographs of the tower only to later discover shadowy figures in the windows that weren't there when the picture was taken. One couple visiting for a wedding even claimed to have seen a woman in Victorian clothing fall from the tower, screaming, only for the vision to disappear before she hit the ground. With such a long history, it's no surprise that Leeds Town Hall's clock tower has collected so many ghost stories. Some believe the spirits are connected to tragic events from the building's past, while others think they're former workers who loved the place too much to leave. Whatever the truth may be, the strange occurrences continue to this day, making the clock tower much more than just a timekeeper. It's a place where the past never seems to fully fade away. Next time you hear the town hall bells chiming, listen carefully. You might just hear an extra, ghostly ring that shouldn't be there. For Manchester Town Hall Clock Tower, Manchester. Manchester Town Hall's clock tower rises high above Albert Square, its Gothic spires and chiming bells a familiar sight to the city's residents. Completed in 1877, this magnificent building has been at the heart of Manchester's government and celebrations for nearly 150 years. But behind its grand architecture lies a darker secret. Many believe the clock tower is haunted by spirits from Manchester's past. Workers, security staff, and visitors have reported strange experiences that send chills down the spine, making this one of the city's most talked about haunted locations. The most frequently reported ghost is that of a Victorian policeman who patrols the tower's upper levels. Several night guards have reported seeing a man in old-fashioned police uniform walking the corridors near the clock mechanism. He appears solid and real until suddenly vanishing before their eyes. One security guard told how he followed the figure, thinking it was a colleague playing a joke, only to watch him walk straight through a locked door. Others have heard heavy boots pacing the stone floors above them when no one else is in the building. Some believe this might be the spirit of a policeman who died on duty long ago, still keeping watch over the town hall he once protected. Another unsettling story comes from the tower's winding staircase. Many people have reported feeling an invisible presence following them as they climb the steps. Some feel sudden cold spots or hear breathing right behind them, but when they turn, no one is there. A cleaner once reported seeing wet footprints appearing on the stairs ahead of her, as if someone invisible had just walked through water, even though the stairs were completely dry. Others have heard children's laughter echoing through the stairwell late at night when the building is empty, particularly strange because the tower has no connection to children's activities. The clock mechanism itself seems to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Engineers maintaining the clock have reported tools going missing and then reappearing in strange places. One man claimed his wrench was pulled from his hand by an unseen force while he worked on the gears. Others have heard whispering voices coming from inside the clock when no one else is in the tower. The most frightening report came from a worker who saw the massive clock hands move on their own at midnight, stopping at 3:33 before returning to the correct time, all while the mechanism was disconnected for repairs. Perhaps the creepiest stories come from the tower's observation level. Visitors and staff have reported seeing shadowy figures moving behind the clock faces, visible from the square below. Some have taken photographs showing strange mists or faces in the tower windows. One wedding party even claims to have seen a woman in Victorian dress standing by the clock face, waving at them before disappearing. Security cameras have occasionally captured unexplained movements and lights in the tower when no one is scheduled to be there. The tower's basement holds its own dark secrets. Workers have reported feeling watched and hearing strange knocking sounds from inside the walls. Some believe this might be connected to the building's foundations. Parts of Old Manchester were demolished to make way for the town hall, and some say the spirits of those displaced neighborhoods remain. Others think it could be connected to the building's use as an air raid shelter during World War II, when many frightened citizens took refuge there during Manchester's darkest days. With such a long and varied history, it's no surprise that Manchester Town Hall's clock tower has collected so many ghost stories. Whether these are spirits of former workers, past residents, or something else entirely, the strange occurrences continue to this day. Next time you walk through Albert Square and hear the town hall clock chime, look up at the tower. You might just spot something unexpected in those Gothic windows, watching the modern world go by while trapped in Manchester's haunted past. 5. Brighton Clock Tower, Brighton. Brighton Clock Tower stands in the middle of the city's busy shopping area, its colorful faces and golden decorations making it one of Brighton's most recognizable landmarks. Built in 1888 to celebrate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee, the tower has watched over Brighton's changing streets for more than 130 years. But behind its cheerful appearance, many believe the clock tower hides darker secrets. Over the years, shop workers, late-night visitors, and even police officers have reported strange happenings that suggest the tower might be haunted by spirits from Brighton's past. One of the most common ghost stories involves a woman in Victorian clothing who appears near the tower late at night. Several people walking home after dark have reported seeing a well-dressed woman standing beneath the clock, looking up as if waiting for someone. When approached, she suddenly disappears. Taxi drivers have stopped to offer her a ride, only to find the spot empty when they get out to look for her. Some believe she might be the ghost of a woman who died tragically while waiting for her lover at the clock tower long ago. Others say she appears more frequently on rainy nights, her wet clothes dripping on the pavement before she vanishes into thin air. The area around the clock tower seems to be particularly active for paranormal activity. Shop workers opening their stores early in the morning have reported hearing the sound of horses' hooves and carriage wheels on the cobbles, even though those streets haven't seen horse traffic for nearly a century. Some have smelled strong perfume that appears suddenly and then fades away, with no obvious source. Security cameras in nearby shops have captured strange shadows moving around the tower when no people are present, sometimes appearing to climb the tower's sides like invisible spiders. Inside the clock tower itself, maintenance workers tell even stranger stories. Those who have been inside to repair the clock mechanism report feeling watched the entire time they work. Tools often go missing and reappear in odd places, sometimes high up on shelves where no one could have placed them. One electrician claimed he saw the hands of the clock move backwards while he was working on them, even though the mechanism was disconnected at the time. Others have heard voices whispering from inside the walls, though no one else is in the tower with them. Perhaps the creepiest reports come from people who live in apartments near the clock tower. Several residents have reported waking in the night to see shadowy figures standing at their windows, looking down at the clock below. When they turn on the lights, the figures disappear. Some have heard the sound of the clock's bells ringing at unusual hours, even though the clock keeps perfect time and only chimes as scheduled. One family even claimed their young child began talking to an invisible friend they called the clock man after moving into an apartment facing the tower. The clock tower's location may explain some of these ghostly happenings. The area was once part of Old Brighton's busiest streets, filled with coaching inns and theaters where many people came and went. Some paranormal investigators believe the energy from all those past lives might have left impressions that occasionally replay like ghostly recordings. Others think the tower itself acts like a beacon for spirits, its tall structure drawing them like moths to a flame. Whatever the truth may be, Brighton Clock Tower continues to be a hotspot for strange occurrences. Next time you find yourself passing beneath its colorful faces, especially late at night, you might want to look twice. You could be sharing the space with more than just the living residents of Brighton. The cheerful chimes of the clock may be covering whispers from the past, and the shadows around its base might hold more than first meets the eye in this famous but possibly haunted seaside landmark. 6. Liverpool Municipal Buildings Clock Tower, Liverpool. The Liverpool Municipal Buildings Clock Tower stands tall over the city's streets, its grand Victorian design watching over the busy crowds below. Built in 1866, this impressive tower with its 4 clock faces has been a landmark for generations of Liverpudlians. But behind its official appearance, many workers and visitors tell stories of strange happenings that suggest the tower might be home to more than just city officials. Over the years, cleaners, security guards, and maintenance workers have shared experiences that make the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. One of the most common ghost stories involves a man in old-fashioned work clothes seen walking through the corridors near the clock mechanism. Several night cleaners have reported seeing him carrying a toolbox, disappearing around corners only to vanish completely when followed. One security guard told how he chased the figure up a staircase, hearing heavy work boots on the steps ahead of him, only to find the corridor empty when he reached the top. Others have smelled strong pipe tobacco in areas where smoking hasn't been allowed for decades, with no visible source for the smell. Some believe this might be the ghost of a clock keeper from long ago, still making his rounds to care for the timepiece he loved in life. The tower's staircase seems to be a particular hotspot for strange activity. Many people report feeling sudden drops in temperature as they climb, with some experiencing unexplained touches on their arms or shoulders. One electrician working late claimed to hear children's laughter coming from above him, though no children were in the building. When he went to investigate, he found all the doors locked. Others have seen shadowy figures moving behind them in reflective surfaces like windows or polished brass, but when they turn around, nobody is there. The most frightening report came from a council worker who said an invisible force pushed him against the wall as he descended the stairs, leaving him bruised but with no one else in sight. Inside the clock chamber itself, workers tell of tools moving by themselves and unexplained noises coming from the giant gears. One clock repair specialist reported seeing the hands move backwards while he was servicing the mechanism, even though the power was disconnected. Others have heard whispering voices coming from inside the clock when no one else is present. The strangest account came from a team working overnight who claimed to see ghostly faces peering out through each of the 4 clock faces simultaneously, watching them work from all directions at once. The tower's connection to Liverpool's history might explain some of these hauntings. The building served as an important civic center during World War II when the city suffered heavy bombing. Some believe the spirits of those who sheltered in the building during air raids might still remain. Others think the ghostly activity could be connected to the tower's position near Old Liverpool's bustling docks, where many lives were lost at sea. The tower's height and prominent position may act like a beacon for restless spirits drawn to its commanding view over the city they once knew. Today, while council workers go about their daily business in the municipal buildings, the clock tower continues to be the source of unexplained events. Security cameras have occasionally captured strange lights or shadows moving in empty corridors. Cleaning staff still report finding offices in disarray when they arrive in the mornings, with papers scattered and chairs moved, despite the buildings being locked and empty overnight. Whether these are pranks, tricks of the light, or something more supernatural remains unanswered. Next time you walk past this grand old clock tower in Liverpool, take a moment to look up at its faces. The time it shows might be perfectly accurate, but the stories surrounding it belong to no known timeline. The tower keeps more than just the hours. It seems to hold memories of Liverpool's past that occasionally break through into our present. Workers there will tell you that some nights, when the streets are quiet and the wind blows just right, you can still hear the sound of phantom footsteps climbing the tower's stairs, keeping watch over the city just as they have done for over 150 years. 7 Guildhall Clock Tower, Leicester. The Guildhall Clock Tower in Leicester stands proudly over the city centre, its ancient stones holding centuries of history. Built in the 1390s, this is one of England's oldest guildhalls still in use today. The beautiful clock tower was added later in 1863, becoming a beloved landmark. But behind its historic charm, many believe the tower hides darker secrets. Workers, visitors, and even passing pedestrians have reported strange experiences that suggest the tower may be home to spirits from Leicester's long past. One of the most common ghost sightings is that of a grey lady seen in the tower's upper windows. Many people walking through the Guildhall courtyard at night have reported seeing a pale woman in old-fashioned dress staring down from the clock tower. When they look again, she disappears. Some believe she might be connected to the building's medieval past when the Guildhall served as both courthouse and prison. Others think she could be the ghost of a heartbroken woman who threw herself from the tower long ago. Security guards checking the tower after such reports always find the upper rooms locked and empty. The tower's ancient staircase seems to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Several workers have reported feeling an invisible presence following them as they climb the worn stone steps. Some hear heavy breathing right behind them, but when they turn, no one is there. Others have felt sudden cold spots that make their breath visible in the air, even on warm days. One council worker told how he heard the sound of chains dragging on the stairs above him, though the building was completely empty at the time. When he went to investigate, the sound stopped suddenly, leaving only an eerie silence. Inside the clock chamber itself, strange things often happen. Maintenance workers repairing the clock mechanism have reported tools going missing and reappearing in odd places. Some have seen the hands of the clock move by themselves when no one is touching the mechanism. One electrician claimed he heard a woman whispering his name while working alone high in the tower, though no one else was present. Others have reported seeing shadowy figures moving behind the clock faces when viewed from outside, even though no living person could fit in that narrow space. The tower's connection to Leicester's dark history might explain these hauntings. The Guildhall was once used as a prison where people waited for trial, sometimes for crimes punishable by death. Some believe the spirits of these prisoners might still linger in the building. Others think the ghosts could be connected to the plague years when the Guildhall served as an emergency hospital. The tower's position near Leicester's old medieval gallows might also play a part in its haunted reputation. Today, while visitors enjoy the Guildhall's historic rooms by day, strange things still happen after dark. Security cameras have captured unexplained lights moving in the tower when no one is there. Cleaning staff report hearing footsteps in empty corridors and finding doors mysteriously unlocked that they had secured earlier. Some night workers refuse to enter the tower alone, claiming they can feel unseen eyes watching them from the shadows. Next time you visit Leicester's Guildhall and hear the clock chime, look carefully at the tower's ancient stones. The time it shows may be modern, but the spirits that linger there seem forever trapped in Leicester's medieval past. Whether ghosts of prisoners, plague victims or heartbroken souls, something in the Guildhall clock tower keeps calling them back, making this beautiful historic landmark one of Leicester's most haunted places. 8 Old Christchurch Clock Tower, Dorset. The Old Christchurch Clock Tower in Dorset stands as a lonely reminder of the past, its weathered stones holding many secrets. Originally part of Christchurch Priory built in the 1100s, the tower was moved to its current location in 1864 when much of the old priory was demolished. Though it looks peaceful during the day, locals know this ancient tower has a haunted reputation. Many people passing by at night have reported strange sights and sounds that suggest the tower may be home to spirits from its long history. One of the most common ghost stories involves a monk seen walking near the tower. Several people have reported seeing a figure in dark robes moving around the base of the tower late at night. When approached, the figure disappears into thin air. Some believe this might be one of the monks from the original priory, still keeping watch over the tower that was once part of their holy place. Others say the ghost appears more often on foggy nights, his shape barely visible as he walks slowly around the tower before vanishing. The area around the tower seems to be full of strange energy. People walking their dogs near the tower at night often report their animals behaving strangely, barking at empty spaces or refusing to go near certain spots. Some visitors have heard chanting coming from inside the tower when no one is there, sounding like monks singing prayers in Latin. Others have smelled incense in the air around the tower, though no churches are nearby burning it. One couple walking past at dusk even claimed to see candlelight flickering in the tower's upper windows, even though the building has no electricity and is always locked at night. Perhaps the creepiest stories come from people who have gotten too close to the tower after dark. Several have reported feeling sudden cold spots near the tower's base, even on warm summer nights. Some have felt invisible hands pushing them away when they try to touch the ancient stones. One teenager dared his friends to spend the night inside the tower and later told of hearing scratching sounds coming from the walls and feeling something breathing on his neck in the complete darkness. He ran out before morning and refused to go near the tower again. The tower's history might explain why it seems to be haunted. As part of the original priory, it would have witnessed centuries of religious life, including burials and possibly even violent events during the Reformation when monasteries were destroyed. Some believe the spirits of monks who dedicated their lives to the priory might still remain attached to this last remaining piece of their home. Others think the tower's relocation might have disturbed something, bringing restless spirits along with the stones when it was moved to its new location. Today, the old Christchurch clock tower continues to be a source of ghost stories. While it stands as a beautiful historic monument by day, locals still avoid walking past it alone at night. Some people have taken photographs of the tower only to later spot strange shapes or faces in the windows that weren't there when the picture was taken. Others report hearing the sound of bells ringing softly from the tower, though it hasn't had working bells for over 100 years. Whether these experiences are tricks of the light, products of imagination, or something more supernatural, one thing is certain: this ancient tower holds more than just the memories of Christchurch's past. Next time you visit this historic landmark, take a moment to look closely at its old stones. The tower may be silent during the day, but after dark, some say you can still hear whispers from its medieval past, making this one of Dorset's most intriguing haunted locations. 9 St Nicholas Clock Tower, Bristol. St Nicholas Clock Tower in Bristol stands tall over the old city, its ancient stones holding centuries of history. Built as part of St. Nicholas Church in the 1400s, the tower survived when the church was destroyed during World War II bombings. Today it stands alone, a reminder of Bristol's past, but many believe it's not just a historic building. They say it's haunted by spirits that never left. People who work near the tower, pass by at night, or have dared to go inside tell strange stories that send chills down your spine. One of the most common ghost sightings is a woman in white seen near the tower's base. Several shop workers opening their stores early in the morning have reported seeing her standing by the tower walls, looking up at the clock face. When they approach, she disappears into thin air. Some believe she might be connected to the old church that once stood here, perhaps a grieving widow from long ago. Others say she appears more often on foggy mornings, her pale dress blending with the mist before she vanishes completely. The tower's staircase is known for strange happenings. Maintenance workers who go inside to check the clock mechanism report feeling like someone is following them up the narrow stone steps. Some hear whispering voices behind them, but when they turn around, no one is there. Others have felt sudden cold spots that make them shiver, even on warm days. One electrician working late at night claimed to see shadowy figures moving on the stairs below him, but his flashlight revealed nothing. When he went down to check, he felt an invisible hand push him hard against the wall, leaving him shaken but unharmed. The clock chamber itself seems to be full of activity. Workers repairing the clock have reported tools going missing and then reappearing in strange places. Some have seen the hands of the clock move by themselves when no one is touching the mechanism. Others have heard loud banging sounds coming from inside the clock for no reason. The strangest story came from a clock expert who was adjusting the timing. He swears he saw a face looking out through each of the 4 clock faces simultaneously, watching him work from all directions before disappearing. The area around the tower also has its share of ghostly tales. People walking past at night often report hearing church bells ringing, even though the tower hasn't had working bells since the war. Some smell flowers or incense near the tower when none are present, perhaps memories from when it was still a working church. Others have seen strange lights moving in the tower's upper windows late at night when the building is locked and empty. Security cameras from nearby shops have captured unexplained shadows moving around the tower's base with no visible person causing them. The tower's long history might explain why it seems to be haunted. As part of the original St. Nicholas Church, it would have witnessed countless baptisms, weddings and funerals over 500 years. Some believe the spirits of people connected to these events might still linger. Others think the violent destruction of the church during the war could have left spiritual scars on the remaining tower. The fact that it stands alone now, separated from its original purpose, might make it a magnet for restless souls. Today, while the tower is a popular tourist spot by day, locals know to give it space after dark. Street cleaners working early morning still report seeing the woman in white or hearing phantom bells. Shop workers arriving before sunrise sometimes find the tower's gate mysteriously open, even though it was locked the night before. Whether these are just stories or something more, one thing is certain: St. Nicholas Clock Tower holds more than just Bristol's history. It seems to hold memories that won't fade, making this ancient tower one of Bristol's most intriguing and haunted landmarks. Next time you check the time on this historic clock, remember, you might not be the only one watching the hands move. 10 Wrexham Clock Tower, Wales. Wrexham Clock Tower stands proudly in the centre of town, its red brick and stone structure watching over the busy streets below. Built in 1907 to celebrate King Edward VII's visit, this beautiful tower has been a local landmark for over 100 years. But behind its cheerful appearance, many believe the clock tower hides darker secrets. People who work nearby, walk past late at night, or have been inside tell strange stories that suggest the tower might be haunted by spirits from Wrexham's past. One of the most common ghost sightings is that of a tall man in old-fashioned clothes seen standing near the tower's base. Several shop workers opening their stores early in the morning have reported seeing him looking up at the clock face. When they approach to ask if he needs help, he disappears into thin air. Some believe he might be connected to the tower's construction, perhaps a worker who died during building and never left. Others say he appears more often on rainy nights, his wet clothes dripping on the pavement before he vanishes completely. The area around the tower seems full of strange energy. People walking their dogs past the tower at night often report their pets behaving strangely, barking at empty spaces or pulling away from certain spots. Some visitors have heard the sound of horses' hooves and carriage wheels on the road near the tower, even though cars have long replaced horses in Wrexham. Others have smelled strong pipe tobacco in the air around the tower when no one is smoking nearby. One taxi driver even claimed to see a horse-drawn carriage appear briefly near the tower before fading away like mist. Inside the tower, the stories become even creepier. Maintenance workers who go up to check the clock mechanism report feeling like they're being watched the whole time. Tools often go missing and then reappear in odd places. Some workers have heard whispering voices coming from empty corners of the tower. One electrician working late at night claimed to see shadowy figures moving behind the clock faces when viewed from inside, even though no one else was in the building. Others have felt sudden cold spots that make their breath visible, even in summer. The tower's staircase seems to be a particular hotspot for ghostly activity. Several people have reported feeling an invisible presence following them as they climb the steps. Some hear heavy footsteps behind them, but when they turn around, no one is there. One council worker told how he felt something grab his ankle as he walked down the stairs, nearly making him fall. When he looked, nothing was there. Others have seen strange writing appear on the stairwell walls, old-fashioned numbers and symbols that disappear when they try to photograph them. The tower's history might explain why it seems to be haunted. Built on a site that was once part of Old Wrexham's market area, the land has seen centuries of human activity. Some believe the spirits of past market traders or town officials might still linger near the tower. Others think the clock itself acts like a beacon for lost souls, its regular chimes calling them back to a place they once knew. Today, while the clock tower remains a proud symbol of Wrexham by day, strange things still happen after dark. Security cameras have captured unexplained lights moving inside the tower when no one is there. Shopkeepers arriving early sometimes find the tower's door mysteriously unlocked even though it was secured the night before. Some night workers refuse to go near the tower alone, claiming they can feel unseen eyes watching them from its windows. Next time you walk past Wrexham Clock Tower and hear its chimes marking the hour, take a moment to look closely. The time it shows may be accurate, but the stories surrounding it belong to another era. This beautiful tower seems to hold more than just the town's history, it may hold spirits from Wrexham's past who aren't ready to leave. Whether these are just stories or something more, one thing is certain, the clock tower remains one of Wrexham's most intriguing and possibly haunted landmarks.